Hello, I'm continuing a video on lesson 1-6 of inequalities, graphing them. And number 7, we have a compound inequality. We'll notice that we have two inequality symbols. We have one here and we have one here. So this sort of reads that, -6 is less than x minus 5, which is less than or equal to 2. So it's almost like we have two things to solve. We do have two things to solve. Some people like to split these, so they write it, that and that, two separate things, and then solve each one. But there is a way to do this. Again, find x. Here's x. This is what we want to isolate. So in order to isolate x, we have to use the additive inverse. We have to add 5 to this. And we're going to add 5 over here because there's an inequality symbol and here's an inequality symbol. So we're going to add 5 to this. So this will isolate x here, and it will carry on the equality of all these other expressions. So now we have 2 plus 5 is 7. And we have a negative or greater than, less than symbol, and -6 plus 5 is -1. So now we have the expression -1 is less than x, which is less than or equal to 7. Okay, you could also read this sort of x is between -1 and 7, with 7 inclusive. That's kind of a lot to say, but that's another way to say that. So all the x's that are between there. Now, what is the domain? And I'm looking at the book here. It says the domain is the set of real numbers. So fortunately, real numbers means pretty much all the numbers except imaginary ones. So any number on the number line, which is pretty easy to graph. So we want to put our x between -1 and 7. So here's 0 and it's between. So here's -1 and over here is 7. And it's real numbers, so it's all the fractions, all the irrational numbers, everything. Now it doesn't include -1, so why do I put the open circle there? Remember that -1 is not included in the solution, but 7 is included, so I'm going to shade in this dot, but not this dot. And then I'm going to highlight or shade all of the numbers that are between -1 and 7. So that it's clear that all of these values are included in my solution set, but not -1, but -7 is. Okay, so now let's look at number 9, because this is also a compound inequality, but the problem with this is that we have this or statement in here. So this or this, okay? X plus 3 is greater than or equal to 2, or x plus 3 is less than -7. Now, these are obviously the same thing, but in order to do or, think of or as, it's either this or that. These are and. These are, these numbers are greater than this and less than this. Oh, I probably should have checked one of these. Let's check 0. Is 0 greater than -1? Yes. Less than 7? Yes. Is 0 minus 5? 0 minus 5 is -5. -5 is greater than -6. That is true. And -5 is less than or equal to 2. That is true. Okay, so 0 checks out. So, sorry, I'm jumping back to number 9 now. If we were to solve this, we want to think of an or as it's the either or, which is going to sort of split my inequality solution. Okay, so we're going to use inverse operations. We're going to subtract 3 from both sides of this, and so we get x is greater than or equal to -1, or x plus 3 is less than -7, so we're going to subtract 3 from both sides using inverse operation there. Keep our inequality. We didn't divide by a negative, we just subtracted, so we don't change the direction of the inequality, and this is -10. So here's our 0. Now these endpoints are at -10 and -1, so they're both to the left of 0. Here's -1, and maybe here's -10. Okay, so if I am greater than or equal to -1, I'm to the right of -1 and including. So that's going this way. And put my arrow saying it's all of those points. Or I'm less than -10. So here's -10, so I open a circle there. See, this one had an equal sign on it, so I shaded it in. This one does not, so I leave it open. Less than -10 puts me going this way. Okay, so there's my compound inequality with an or symbol. Another way to write that or symbol, you will see, is a V, or. And so that means this or this. Okay, and so my compound inequality goes in opposite directions. And, oh, I should check what, oh, my domain was real numbers for number 9. Forgot to mention that. So all the numbers on the number line. Always look at that. I'm sorry I forgot to look at that at first, but I did know that that's how it's going to get shaded. Okay, very good. I'm going to make another video.